My name is Kyle DuPree. My pronouns are he, him, and I live in Astoria, New York. I am from New Jersey. I was born in Somerset, New Jersey, which is really close to New Brunswick, Rutgers, if you know it, university. But I grew up in Union, New Jersey, which is a lot more north and closer to the city. It was a great time. Loved growing up in the suburbs. The thing that sticks in my mind the most, I will say, is probably Michael Jackson was my first influence on dance and performing in general. So kudos to him. So many things inspired me. Michael's performance quality is something so beautiful. He changes into a completely different person when he reaches the stage. The energy is lit. His overall dynamic movement is so beautiful in quality. And then when he steps off the stage, he was just very calm, very demure, and I always appreciated him, especially for his performance quality and dance moves. The support I needed came from my mom, actually. I grew up in a single family household, and just to have the support of my mother and realizing that dance is something that I really wanted to pursue in my life, and she was there for me full-heartedly, took me to auditions, we got into college together, and the reason why I say that is because she's such a big cheerleader for me, and throughout my entire career, she's always been there for me and a shoulder to lean on. In today's day and age, you're so easily accessible to the internet, right? There are so many other people out there that are going through the same thing you're going through, maybe in a different situation. Maybe it's not ABC, but it's CBA. It's just like a little bit reverse. So going online, getting into the forums, and exposing yourself to the community is really gonna give you an opportunity to make a connection with somebody else who has the same goals as you. Any forums that I recommend, Instagram is a great format. Yeah, that's a great way of connecting with one another. It also allows you to really explore dance companies, just theater in general, performance. It allows you to really branch out and explore other things that are happening, maybe not in your neighborhood, all over the country, all over the world. Facebook is another great way to connect, yeah? Also, all that chat. Playbill.com is a great way to stay in touch with any type of anything going on in the theater community. So just really use those assets and take advantage of them. I think for myself personally, it was quite a paradox discovering the theater community, dance, performance in general. I was an athlete before I was ever a dancer, so I did like track and field, football. I had long dreads like down my back, which I miss sometimes. And as I was getting into the dance world, I realized that it was more of a specific look that people were looking for, at least when I started. So for example, when I got into college, my professor told me to cut my dreads off if I wanted to be taken seriously within the industry. So I did, obviously. And that has offered me an opportunity that is so vast, but things have changed so much nowadays. For example, Hamilton on Broadway is always looking for somebody who is different, unique, brings their own hair texture to the table, yeah? So I think that times have really much changed. I also want to say that being a Black male in this space, I found myself in places a lot of times where I was the only Black person, whether it be male or female or non-binary identifying. And that can be really difficult on the mind sometimes because you feel as though you're representing an entire culture, an entire ethnicity, when that's really not the case. You're really just representing yourself in that space and in that moment. It can be difficult to overcome that feeling, but just realize that you are there for a reason. You're obviously talented and graceful enough to be in the space. So just allow yourself to accept that, as opposed to dwelling on the fact that you could be the only person in the space that is BIPOC, non-binary, transgender, anything of that nature. And see yourself as special because you are. For me, something that really changed and like sparked something in me to really continue pursuing this art form, I would say the day I got into college, honestly, because I had been training in ballet probably for a year at that point. I really had been putting a lot into my technique, I guess you can say. So when I was offered the chance to go to the school, I was very excited. I was so proud of myself for accomplishing a goal that I never thought that I would accomplish. And that just goes to show that sometimes you may not see yourself in certain spaces, but don't give up on yourself. Allow yourself to apply yourself into situations where maybe you never thought you would be, and then allow yourself to see where that takes you. I would say an obstacle for any performer, specifically for me, is walking into an audition space or just being vulnerable in those spaces and then constantly hearing no can be a hindrance for some people. It can really weigh on people mentally, yeah, but going into the space and just realizing that you're just there to show your talents and really express yourself in the space and not necessarily allowing other people to warp your mind, or a no doesn't necessarily mean that you're not great for the piece. A no can mean anything from maybe you don't fit the shoe size, maybe you don't fit the costume, maybe your eyes are a different color than the person who already has the role. It literally comes down to those minute details. And once you're able to separate yourself from that, you're really able to flourish in the space because you're not worried about other people's approval in that sense. You're really worried about, like I said before, showing up as your authentic self and just letting yourself shine through, and then hopefully being accepted for that, which is the most important in my opinion. The last project that I was working on was I was the dance captain for a performance of Cinderella at Alabama Shakespeare Festival, which is a regional theater located in Montgomery, Alabama. Before that, oh goodness, the lockdown happened and the pandemic and everything. So about 2 years ago, I was performing at Jiva Theater in Rochester, New York, doing La Caja Fall. But I think my favorite project that I've done so far as a performing artist was performing in the national tour of Chicago, the Broadway show. In that show, I had the opportunity to really dive between the masculine and the feminine. Fosse style, dance style, is very jazzy, but it incorporates ballet as well. And for me, I was able to really find the fluidity between feminine and masculine, and I think that's where I really gained a lot of experience and a lot of trust within myself as a performer. You're able to find fulfillment outside of New York. Broadway is not everything. It's not the be-all, end-all. And it took me a couple of years to figure that out, yeah? Once you realize that you can perform literally all over the world, you're set. I remember my college professor telling me that as long as you're making a paycheck and you're performing, then you are a professional. It doesn't matter if you're on a cruise ship. It doesn't matter if you're regional. Again, Broadway is not the be-all, end-all. It's just one facet of theater, right? So take that into your life and remember, as long as you're making that paycheck performing, you are a professional.